eBay friends. Welcome to episode number 170 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is June 19th, 2024, also known as Juneteenth, which is a new postal holiday. Well, this is the second year. In case you are listening to this today on June 19th and wonder why you didn't get any mail, that's what happened to me last year. I totally forgot it was a new holiday and couldn't figure out why my mail didn't come. Okay, my guest today is Josh, who I have nicknamed the Rattlesnake Guy. Announcements. It's time for a quick update on what's happening in the premium library. This is for sellers who have never tried it and for those taking a break and planning to return, and for members who just haven't checked in a while, so you can know about the new content. It is a month-to-month subscription, no commitment ever, $20 a month, and I have never raised the price since I started it in 2018. And I designed this library in such a way that hey, life happens and people need to focus on other things besides eBay sometimes. I had that kind of year last year with 2 deaths in my family 4 days apart, and I just had to put things aside and get through it. But all kinds of things happen where sellers have to stop their subscription due to maybe their own illness or medical conditions, family illness, moving, extended travel, loss of a loved one, time constraints with a job or maybe a new job, and many, many other reasons that an eBay business might be put on hold. So I just wanted to create a place to help sellers learn and pass on what I'm learning in an organized lesson presentation format so that everyone can benefit. So there's lots of educational material all in one place. So here's what's new since the last update. There is a brand spotlight. This is where I focus on a specific brand that brings good profit, tell you a little bit about the history of the company and some interesting facts to help you remember to look for it. There are 2 keyword lessons. I have a new lesson on buying for resale, some new things I'm doing since moving to a rural area. There is a member Q&A where members submit questions and then my answers and commentary. There's a vintage clothing lesson. I'm really building this section because vintage is so hot right now. This particular brand is quite visual, and some pieces can sell for hundreds of dollars. There are also 2 bulletins. That's me on camera like a news anchor, bringing you the latest reselling news. So much happens in the reselling world. It's really hard to keep up, especially if you aren't really plugged into social media. So I am your personal researcher. I gather all that up for you. So there is a free trial. If you've not checked it out yet, you can join for a month completely free and watch and download anything you want with no obligation to continue. There are almost 600 videos now, so that's a lot of material, and there's something for everyone. So that's me giving you a taste of the content and my teaching style and the information you're missing that can help you make more money on eBay. So that's the Premium Library update, and now on to the chat with the Rattlesnake Guy.
Welcome back, listeners. We have Josh with us today, who has been a frequent poster on the Money Making Mondays. So you are my next victim here. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great, thanks.
Good, good. Okay, and tell us where you're located.
I'm from a small town called Lyle, Washington.
What's
Um,
the closest town to it that people might know?
Oh, probably Portland.
Portland. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. And so we generally start off with you telling the listeners how you came to eBay. What were the circumstances of that?
So my uncle is has been reselling for 30 years, and he kind of inspired me to start reselling. And he's kind of my mentor when it comes to reselling online. I come to him with questions whenever I need anything, and I wouldn't be able to have gone as far as I have without him. Um, and that was back in 2018. I kind of started out as a more of like a hobby reselling,
Mhm.
and now within the last year, it's turned more of into an actual business.
Great. So
Yeah.
you're younger than most of my guests, it looks like. What year were you born?
1995,
Okay. So you're 31.
28.
Wait. Oh, see, I can't even do math. Okay. So 95. Okay. Yeah. My daughter was born in 94. My son was born in 96. So you're between them. Okay. 28.
Yeah.
Now, do you have like a regular full-time job, or do you transition to doing reselling full-time?
It's still part-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do there?
The other job,
Yeah.
um, I work on a ranch as a ranch hand.
Really?
Yeah, we're out in the country.
Okay. So what's a normal day for you at that job?
Feeding chickens, feeding goats. Um, we used to have cows, but they kept breaking fences and then they quit doing that.
Yeah, I can relate. I'm in a rural area now, and a couple times a week, a calf gets out of the electric fence, and they have to go chase him down and get him out of the road. And yeah,
The hassle.
it's a next level babysitting kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. So, where do you get your items to sell? You're in a rural area, so do you go to the closest town, or how do you do that?
Yeah, the closest town. I think there are about four different towns that they're all actually about the same distance from me. It's a 45-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Usually I go to yard sales if I'm already like headed that way and there's a yard sale happening. I
Mm-hmm.
pick up most of my items from yard sales. Um,
Okay.
it's harder to find things at thrift stores for me that are reasonably priced.
It's getting that way everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, we have to zig when they zag kind of thing. It's just getting harder and harder at thrift stores.
Hmm.
But
I
there's
have
plenty
found
to,
some items though at thrift stores that I've sold for over $100 that were priced fairly low, but there seems to be they're harder to spot for me.
right. Well, why don't we transition into talking about some of the items that you've sold?
Sure. Um, my biggest sale I ever made was a book from the 1800s, 1865, I believe. I got it for free, and it sold the next day for $1,200.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. So where did you get it for free?
it was a Facebook marketplace ad. It was kind of like an estate sale, sort of. Someone had passed away. They bought the property, and they just had this bookshelves full of books, and the new owners just wanted them gone. And they said, "Take as many books as you want." I came in and just kind of grabbed a handful of books, and that was one of the books I grabbed. And then
Mhm.
after that sale, I went back and I filled up my SUV full of all their books. And then what I did is I flipped through the books and looked for books with signatures, and all the signed books sold for $100 each. And there are about 10 of those.
Nice.
Yeah.
So was that early in your eBay career?
No, it was a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Never turn down free, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, free items for some reason for me, uh, I make more profit on those than items I pay for. I don't know why that is.
Right. Even though you probably don't pay very much for anything when you do pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And so what was the book about? The $1,200 book?
It was a rare mining record of California. There were only 3 that I could find, and I had to search really hard to find them. And they weren't on eBay; they were on other websites. One was on auction for 25,000. Another one was on auction for 6,000, but nobody had bid on them, so I
Uh-huh.
wasn't sure if it was worth that. But it sold overnight for 1,200. But
Well, I'd call that a win.
yeah,
That's great. So you're
yeah,
in the area where you would find old mining stuff.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
I started picking up silver um, items. A long time ago, it used to be intimidating for me, not knowing what was actually silver or fake or silver plate. And I just kept going to my jeweler, and um, he kept looking at me like, "Oh, he's back." But he explained to me how to find actual silver, and now I know when I go to yard sale to look for sterling 925, 900, and those can sell for a lot of money, and people will give them away for like 25 cents a spoon at yard sales. So
Mhm.
just make sure I always flip through the silverware to look for that, and then I'll just lot them together.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite sales that I made.
Do you recall a specific one that was high dollar or
Oh,
interesting or
I
unusual?
just do it for spot price, so that's the weight of the silver. So I just weigh the silver and I charge the actual silver value for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that test you can do if it's not marked, where you have a silver item and then a non-silver item? You put an ice cube on both of them, and which the one that melts faster is going to be your silver because it
I've
can
heard of that.
hold.
I've heard
Yeah,
of that, but that was
didn't need
for
to
some
do
reason
that.
yeah, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with that.
Well, sometimes, especially if it's older, it's not marked, and
Right.
it feels heavy, and you think, how can I find out if this is silver? Because it's not marked. So
Right.
that's just one of there's different chemical tests too, but that's just one of the at-home tests you can do to figure it out. But
I
it's
read
always
that online, yeah.
yeah, it's always
But
better if it's marked for sure. But
right.
okay.
And my jeweler also was bending them. Apparently if they bend easily, they're real.
Uh-huh.
But that was another thing. I'm like, I can't tell if it's bending.
Yeah, because true silver, like 925, is soft. Like
Right.
they're rare. I don't know if it's rare or never, but like 100% silver, it has to have something mixed with it because it's so soft that it won't hold its shape. So that's what the 925 is. It's 92.5% silver, and then
Right.
the rest is other mixed metals they put in there so they can form it into something. So it's funny that you say that, because somebody posted on the group a couple days ago something that had 925 on the back of it, and she's like, what does this mean? And all the all the jewelry people and the silver people are like, oh, that's real silver, 925. That's important. Yeah.
Right.
Excellent. So you're not
Excuse me.
finding as much gold, you're finding mostly silver.
No, I haven't found gold yet. My dad comes with me, and for some reason, he always finds the gold before me.
Well, that's
There was a
thing.
there was a jar. It looked like a jar of junk, and he just said, "I'll give you $5 for that." And there was a gold necklace inside that he brought to the jeweler, and it was appraised at $700.
Really?
I was jealous, but
So you have a local jeweler that helps you. Does he charge you to assess the value?
um, he didn't charge, but there was something that needed to be fixed, and then we paid him to fix whatever was wrong. So it was worth it for him to appraise it for that.
Yeah, it's worth it for him to be your connection.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like flatware and jewelry and just any silver looking items.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I also just go in with my phone and look up each item and try to find things with at least 20% sell-through rates. Um, most of my items are probably $20 items
Mm-hmm.
that just sell quickly. I can't really think of an example of one. They're all different.
Mm-hmm. So you
Yeah,
don't really have a specialty. You just
I
look for
guess
it.
not.
Well, that's good.
Maybe the books. I do a lot of the books.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Do you have certain ones that you look for, or are you just trying to look at everything right now?
Um, I try to find books that are popular. It's hard to know when a book is popular, but the sell-through rates will kind of tell you if it's popular. And then if there are enough paperback books by a popular author, those are always worth picking up. I sold a lot of 68 books for $175.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a popular author, so it sold pretty quickly.
Who was it?
Agatha Christie?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to pass up the paperback books because I thought they were worthless. But
Uh-huh.
if you get enough of them together and they're popular, I always pick those up.
So do you buy them and continually put together sets as you see them?
Um, no, I just buy them. Usually the person having the yard sale will have collected them themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
Um,
have the patience for that either.
yeah,
The book lady, she does that, and others do it. Just, they'll just keep looking, and eventually they'll have enough to make a complete set, or maybe one is missing, something like that. But I just don't have the patience to do that.
yeah, me too.
Okay. And you sell all kinds of things. So what other sorts of items have you sold?
Hmm. Board games. There was one board game I sold that was it was from the 1950s. Apparently I had the best version that was I think the original.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even complete and it sold for $100 and it fell apart when you touched it,
Oh gosh.
but apparently it was still collectible and worth money. So it was kind of like Legos, sort of. It was like you build, but you couldn't use it anymore. So I don't really know what they would do with it, but
Yeah,
I'd rather have $100.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. How many items do you have? Do you have an eBay store?
It's technically not a store, but I have a place where, yeah, it's just the basic free version.
Okay, like the starter.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many items do you have for sale?
About 500 items.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Do
My goal
you,
is to have 1,000.
okay. Do you see like average certain number of items that you sell a day?
No, actually, for some reason for me, I make most of my sales around the first of the month and the middle of the month. So
Really?
yeah, someone told me that's because that's payday when people get paid. So I'll do really well then, and then it'll be slow, and then pick up in the middle of the month, and then slow. I think the most amount of sales I've made in a day, I think was close to 20.
Really?
Yeah.
All different kinds of items?
Yeah, they're all unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, June's been slow for me. I've just been like, what's going on? And then it picked up yesterday and I sold like 6 things. And I don't know if it's they call it rolling blackouts where your store gets hidden and then it comes back to give everybody a turn. I don't know if I believe in that or not, but that's the theory. And then like government checks like Social Security or disability and all that comes out usually on the 3rd. And so sometimes you'll see a little jump around that time when people are getting their money.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like eBay is kind of recession proof because people might go back to used items if they can't afford the brand new ones. But some people just have money all the time and recession doesn't affect them and they're buying their collectibles and their $1,200 books whenever they want to. It's just
Yeah.
so many different people out there or something. They'll be like, oh, it's the economy. And it just depends on you, the buyer, and their lifestyle. And, I don't think you can make generalizations about why sales are slow.
Right.
I mean, it's human nature to try to figure it out, but there's too many variables that we don't
Right.
know about, that you just can't make those kind of assumptions.
Actually, I'm doing better now with the economy worse than I was when the economy was better.
Really?
Yeah. And I think it's all about the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
You have to list consistently, preferably at least, my uncle says at least 5 a day. That's the
Mm-hmm.
minimum to keep up with the algorithm, in order to make consistent sales.
Okay.
I used to do 1 a day and it didn't really work. And then the
Mm-hmm.
5 a day started working.
Okay. Well, that's good information. I
Yeah.
also wonder if it's like you have 500 items, if it's a percentage of your listed items. If you have
Probably.
if you have more items, like 1,000, should you be listing 10 a day? Or, does that have anything to do with it? I'm always trying to be a detective and like figure out, what could the variable be that we can actually control?
Right. And also the more you have up, the more items people can choose from to purchase from you.
Right. Exactly. Do
Yeah.
you do any clothes or shoes?
Um, for some reason, I really don't like listing clothes. I will list them if they're valuable.
I know the
For
reason, because
myself.
it's tedious. That's why.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason.
Um, I haven't, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I haven't really found valuable clothes. I know they're out there. Um, I have found a couple that, were worth listing, like maybe $20, $50, something like that, but nothing like crazy.
Yeah,
Shoes I do. Sorry.
clothes and shoes are a different animal because you have to look through all of them. When you're just
Right.
walking around a garage sale and there's stuff on tables, it's right there in front of you. You can just grab it. But the clothes, there's like a bunch of them in a Rubbermaid tub, or they're all hanging. You got to look through them, and that's tedious. And then the listing
Yeah.
part is tedious. You have to make sure they look
Measure.
picture and take several pictures and the measurements, and then it's a higher return risk. And
Right.
yeah, that's exactly why you don't like it.
For some reason, I'm okay with doing coats and shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to be more expensive and a little easier
Any
than
memorable sales come to mind there?
yeah, I sold a something I actually bought at Goodwill. It was one of those Goodwill items that were worth buying for $15. It was a Nike Air Force One snowboarding boot. And apparently any Nike Air Force One is valuable. Um, it sold for $120 plus shipping.
Great.
Yeah. Um, I learned that from talking to somebody that was really into Nikes.
Well, I will say a snowboarding boot is less chance of being fake than just
Right.
your average sneaker,
Huh.
because that's a big problem with those high-end, well, those popular brands that everybody wants. Is there's a lot of fakes. And I got burned on that one time. I had a pair of Nike something. They were like lime green and they were worth over $100. And I put it up there, and somebody reached out to me and told me they were fake. And they're like, well, it's because this is this way. And you can go on YouTube and find videos about real versus fake. So it's a little bit more risky to sell, like handbags, the high-end handbags that so many of them are fake. That's for the listeners, not for you. Just like beware if you find those, Air Jordan things that are supposedly, you know, vintage and all this. They're even making fake vintage Nikes, like the original Cortez, the running shoe that came out in the early 80s. Some of those are fake. Anybody that wants to make money dishonestly gets into making fakes. I
There
don't know
was a
if you
yard
do
sale.
that, or if you would, if you when you're looking at shoes, if that's on your mind, but that's for the
Right.
list.
Talking about fakes, I went to a yard sale just a couple days ago and I picked up a Louis Vuitton handbag that I thought was worth $500 and
Uh-huh.
paid 20 for it, and then went to get it authenticated and then it was fake. That was kind of sad.
Yeah, but that's $20 for your education.
That's
So
true.
you're a smarter picker now because maybe you won't pick them up now. So you won't spend any more money on those. Or did they tell you why it was fake? Like what were the hallmarks of, like, the stitching is wrong, or the metal didn't have the imprints in it, or what was wrong with it?
No, they didn't give me any information. I'm guessing because they don't want to give away their, I don't know, secrets of figuring it out. But I
Mhm.
did post it on a Facebook group specifically for purses, and they did tell me what was wrong. They said something about the direction of the logo was wrong, which
Uh-huh.
is something I could try to remember. Um, and something about the print was messy, the stamp
Uh-huh.
of the logo. And I did notice that, and it was questionable to me when I purchased it. So yeah.
Yeah, it takes practice to learn all that, because there's certain characteristics of a fake, like the pattern doesn't match up on the seams, or the stitching is crooked. Because they're making them as fast as they can, China, New York, wherever they're making them. And all the metal should be imprinted with the logo, and like
Oh,
the inside pattern there's certain characteristics depending on the brand, what the inside should be, and just stuff like that the
right.
handbag people know. But I don't think it was a waste of money to have it authenticated, because if you just listed it, and your account could have been frozen or suspended, or you could have suffered from that. So that was $20 well spent, I think.
It was actually 60 because the
Oh, okay.
20 for the purse and then 40 to authenticate.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
figured it was worth gambling to potentially make $500. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the way it is. I mean, and every reseller gets home with stuff, and then they kind of get into listing it, and it's like, oh, you find a defect, or
right.
you find something wrong with it, or realize it's fake. And that's just chalk it up to education, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. You'll get your money back on the next $1,200 book.
There you go. I'm waiting for that to
Always
happen,
more
I guess.
money coming, right? Do you do many breakables?
Yeah, actually, I do. But nothing valuable.
Well, that's okay, but you've learned how to ship them, so that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Apparently, I was good at shipping them from day one. Um, I don't know why. I was just so paranoid about it breaking
Uh-huh.
that I just um, really put a lot of bubble wrap on everything. Definitely had to purchase bubble wrap eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a while, I was saving it up and then it ran out. So, yeah. Um, there was one yard sale I went to where they did a fill a box for $1.
Hmm.
I was the last day. And this estate, it was actually a estate sale, not a yard sale. So I filled up boxes of pottery. Um, I think it was like I might have paid 10 cents each on them, and then I've been selling them for $20 each. That's a pretty good return on investment, I think. Handmade pottery, I'm probably going to start not doing anymore. It has about a 10% sell through rate, and I'm trying to find items with at least 20%. 10% actually isn't as bad as other items. There were some items that I've listed in the past, like when I think it might have been when I first started or close to it, and I checked the sell through rate I didn't know about sell-through rates back then, and I think it had like a 3% sell-through rate, and I'm like, oh, that's why that's never sold.
So how are you calculating that sell-through rate?
So, okay, so you either on a browser or an app on your phone, you just search an item. Um, so for the pottery, I would just search handmade pottery, and then there's a somewhere in the search it has a little number where it says how many are listed. And then if you're on a computer, you'll hit advanced and toggle sold, and then it'll come up with a new number. And if you're on your phone, you'll filter sold. And so you take the number that are sold, um, and you divide that by the number of listed plus sold, and that gives you a percentage. So 20% would be 0.2.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, see, I never look at that because first of all, it's the time frame. Are you looking at 30 days? Are you looking at 3 years? What is that? And there is so much possibility for human error on the listing that, oh, yeah, no wonder his didn't sell. His pictures are crappy. No wonder theirs didn't sell. They got it spelled wrong. It's like what is factored in to that
right,
sell rate. I just don't think, I think eBay just did that to come up with a number because all of it, what is the seller's business model? How much profit are they looking for? Well, of course that's sold. They sold it for $10, and I want 75,
right,
or the sold comps show a higher number. And so you have, all these people bailing out on listings, just taking whatever. They haven't had a sale in 3 days, so they're just taking whatever. That is going to increase the sell-through rate, but it's not really, quote, a good sale. There's too much
right.
human error that can be factored in.
Mm,
And I know numbers people want a number to go by when they're doing their research, but it's more like you got to look at the ones that sold and the ones that didn't sell and draw
right.
some other conclusions that could be helpful rather than just being focused on a number.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do also do that. I try to look at other factors that could, I call it skewing the results.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because some of these people that buy out estate sales and auctions, their goal is to flip it in a week. They'll put it on auction for 99 cents to get something back. Because guess what? Next week they're going to pick up another 200 items. So that's their business model. And that definitely skews the sell-through rate. And then you got the
Yes.
long tail people that have that $1,200 book and they're going to hold on to it for 2 years till they get that price. And that's going to tank the sell-through rate because it hadn't sold yet.
Yes, that's another thing. Um, if an item is valuable and it has a terrible sell-through rate, I would purchase it anyway. And wait those 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want to like bust your chops on that. There's a lot more thinking. And I know a lot of the YouTube people are like all about sell-through rates, and that's all they look at. And it's like there's so much human factors involved in this that I just don't think you can put a number on it. But you're smart if it's a long tail item and we all have them, like wait. I sell $100 items all the time that I've had for 2 years. You just got to wait for the right person who's going to pay that.
Right.
That's not for everybody. Somebody else might take 50 in a week.
Right.
Just depends on how you want to do it.
If an item is worth over $50, I will ignore the sell-through rate usually.
Okay, good rule.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I
For the
have
lower
this,
dollar item, it's not worth waiting 2 years for.
yeah, it's just that's the teacher in me coming out, especially for you younger people. I'm like, wait, let's think about it a little bit more. Because
Right.
you want to find the balance or the sweet spot between how long you've had it and how much you can sell it for, and what you're willing to do there. And everybody's different.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so you say you mostly do yard sales and estate sales?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you have
Yeah,
any, do you negotiate or do you just pay what they ask?
I always negotiate.
Good, good. Do you have any strategies to share?
Um, I just figure out what it is the most I can pay for an item, and it's probably better to go a little lower than that because they'll want to raise it up a little bit. Um, an example was a backpack I picked up that's worth $100, and I decided I didn't want to pay more than 20, so I offered 10, and then they countered at 15, and I accepted. So it was actually less than I was willing to pay, and there you go.
Did you sell the backpack?
Oh no, not yet. I just listed it yesterday, actually.
So what is it? What brand?
Oh, it was, I think it was Alps Outdoors, some kind
Mm-hmm.
of. It was actually selling on auction for 60. So when I see that, I know that it's an item that sells pretty quickly.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do the cash in hand technique? You know, they
What?
want 20, they want 20 for something, and you've got a 10 in your pocket, and you're like, all I have is 10. You take 10 and you pull out the cash so they can see it. And a lot of times they'll be like, okay, you know, cash is king. You keep your money like separated so that
Okay.
you can do that trick. You don't pull out 100, you pull out a 10. kind of kind of get them to reconsider once they something about when you see that cash in somebody's hand, you're willing to go lower on your price.
I remember there was a time I only had $100 bill, and I talked somebody down to like $10 or something, and then I pulled it out, and they looked at me like, "Oh man, you had
Yeah.
100."
Exactly. Your plan backfired. So you got to
Right.
keep those small bills and look poor,
Right.
wear your worst clothing. Like that Cosby episode where they went to buy the car, and Theo went with him, and he's like, no, you can't dress up. You gotta wear your worst clothes so you look poor when you're negotiating. So yeah, that works for us too. So what kind of plans do you have? You say you want to get to 1,000 items. Are you looking to transition to eBay full time or reselling full time?
Yeah, actually, I am.
Do you have
Yeah.
a plan for that, or are you just working on it as hard as you can, as much as you can?
So my grandma left a inheritance for me that I just um am receiving in a couple weeks. So I
Oh,
think that, yeah. So that's going to give me a jump start where I can transition into full time.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are the third person in a week that has told me that they're coming into some money. One guy yesterday, he's in a middle of a lawsuit with that Roundup. He's like a farm guy, and he's in that lawsuit. He's going to get a big settlement. And then another person, their girlfriend's mom died and left them millions of dollars, and their life is completely changed. But I feel like they're going to be like lottery winners that blow through it, and then they're right back to where they were in a year. But yeah, I'm hearing this all the time. So congratulations on
Oh,
that. Whatever, that you get a windfall that will help you change your life.
right.
Because that ranch work is hard. It's physical, it's outdoors, probably gets really cold in the winter there.
Yep, it does.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're smart to figure out something else. Um, that's well, I mean, reselling is not guaranteed. It's up and down, as you know. So
Right.
I hate. I don't want to encourage anybody to rely on that 100%, but it's good that you get a head start.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Do you have
Um,
anybody that helps you other than your dad that goes with you and finds the gold?
actually, no, it's just me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Solopreneur.
What's that?
It's called a solopreneur, solo entrepreneur,
Nice.
solopreneur. One of those made up words.
I think it'd be nice to get married to a reseller and do it together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun. I just got married about a month ago, and my husband's very into it. He's loves to go to the bins and just look for stuff. And that's good for me because it's a little physical. It's more physical than like a regular thrift store. Have you ever been to the Goodwill outlets?
Not the bins. We don't actually have the bins where we are.
Uh-huh.
I think we have to go to Portland.
Okay. Yeah. I had never been around them in the South. I think there was one in Georgia, but it was 3 hours away. But um, so it's interesting to see the different kinds of stuff. And I came across some other resellers there, and hey, they were looking for different things than I was. But the guy comes up to me and he's got this 925 silver ring. It was like a class ring. It was thick.
Right.
And he goes, "Hey, are you a reseller?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, I found this ring and we don't really do jewelry, and it says 925, so it's silver." And I looked at it, and it had a pentagon, and it was all this devil worship stuff. And I was like, "I appreciate you offering me that, but I don't want that in my experience. I don't want to have that ring. I don't want to sell that ring." I just didn't think that was good karma to have that. And I said, "But if you find anything else with 925 on it, I'm open for that." So I don't know. Other people probably would have just taken it and maybe taken it to a, we buy gold, silver place or something. I don't know. It just kind of creeped me out a little bit. So I didn't really
Yeah, I'm
want
the
that.
same way.
Yeah, I didn't
I don't
want,
buy things.
I was like, I didn't want that goat head pentagon thing on my person anywhere near me. So
Right.
yeah. So I'm sorry, I interrupted. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say there are items I passed up that were valuable that were like that, like Masonic or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just I would um, not feel comfortable reselling, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess, everybody's different. It's just what you're comfortable with. But I just didn't want that in my eBay store, and I didn't want to have it on my person, like around me. Weird. But yeah, all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
out there. So what is the weirdest thing you've ever sold, since we're on that topic?
um, rattlesnake rattles.
Really? What's the story
Yep.
behind that?
Well, we live out in the country, so we get rattlesnakes, and um, we let the rattlesnakes live that that are far away. But when they come here to us and attack us, we have to kill them.
Right.
And I don't know how I figured it out, but I found out that the rattles are valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the more buttons they have on them, the more valuable they are. I sold a 10-button rattle for $30, and I think I have another one that has 12 that can sell for 40, and they
Really?
sell overnight. It's the weirdest thing.
And so that's not one of those prohibited items on eBay. Obviously, if you're able to list it, like real ivory is prohibited. Some of
Right.
the, um, items from animals that's not kosher to sell it. That's not allowed. But rattlesnake rattles. That's really creative.
Yeah,
What
it's
what was the connection between seeing that and thinking, I wonder if I can sell it?
well, we sold it in a booth a long time ago, and it sold immediately, and that kind of stuck. I would think I was a teenager when that happened, and I was thinking, oh, why did somebody buy that?
Yeah.
I don't know why we even put it in the booth, to be honest. Somebody told me they wanted to put it on their guitar for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why. I know it's weird, they make earrings out of it.
Okay. Jewelry.
That's a
Okay.
little weird,
Yeah.
but
I can see that. A
whatever people
necklace
want
or
to do.
something.
Whatever works for them.
Interesting. I just sold a rattlesnake belt a couple of weeks ago. I did an online auction and bought a bunch of stuff, and that's the thing I wanted in the lot was, you know, you can zoom in on the pictures and see what they have. And it was full rattlesnake all the way around the belt, and the buckle was a rattlesnake. And yeah, it sold like within 2 days.
Nice.
And I paid $7 for it, and it sold for 125.
Wow, cool.
So yeah, snakeskin, anything does pretty well.
I remember we were at a cowboy store buying cowboy boots, and I was trying to talk my mom into buying the rattlesnake boots, and she's like, heck no.
Because they were too expensive.
No, she just doesn't like rattlesnakes.
She just doesn't want that on your legs. Okay. That's a mom thing. Yeah. That's why, no, you don't want to attract more of them. So don't wear those. So the weirdest item was rattlesnake rattle. I hadn't heard that before. So good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
guess
considered taxidermy.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of those taxidermy fish sell for a lot.
Right. There was another item that was valuable that was oh, what was it called? It was some kind of shell. No. I know it was a conch shell, but it was queen snail. And it sold for $80, and it's one of the ones that you can blow into as a horn.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
And then after that sale, I found more of them, and I paid $2 each, and they're worth 50. But within the last couple of years, they've become endangered, so they're not allowed to sell anymore, which is unfortunate. So eBay took the listing down. Well,
And what was
actually,
the item?
it's a queen snail. It's you're not
Oh,
allowed to
okay, the
sell them
snail.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah, they're a threatened species. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier about like the real ivory. Anything that comes from endangered species, like, you know,
right,
certain turtle shell or stuff like that, that's protected.
right.
eBay follows the rules on that. So
And I
I guess,
understand that we
yeah,
want animals to
absolutely.
live, and yeah,
As long as rattlesnakes aren't protected, you're good.
yeah.
I think we have too many of them already. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're getting to the end here. Did you want to answer one of the questions? I think you said you want to talk about a book you're reading.
Yeah, I'm reading a book called The Gold of Kings by Davis Bunn. And it's kind of like, it reminds me of the movie National Treasure, where they're treasure hunting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just kind of an action-packed book. I like those kind of books that are thrillers, I guess.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
And good that you're reading.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was homeschooled, so I found out that I could get out of doing my homework by reading books.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you found the workaround. Good for you.
And I was always reading books. I kind of miss that. I'd like to find more time to read, but the free time I do have, I will read. So yeah,
You will do well as an entrepreneur because you like to read, you like to learn new things. And that
right,
is like the core of it. You know, because I've been doing this since 2003 and I've seen a lot of things happen. And it's like you'll get into a product line that's working great and it's going well. And then either eBay doesn't allow it anymore, or, you know, too many competitors are all over it, or, you know, something happens where it doesn't work anymore. And it's totally not that person's fault. It's just the circumstances. And you got to figure out something else to do. And I've had to do that so many times. So you will do well because you have that mind of figuring out the next thing.
thanks. Yeah.
So good for you. Okay, well, what are you going to be up to today? You're obviously off from your other job. Are you going in later or?
Yeah, I have to work today, on the ranch, and
Uh-huh.
um, I'm not. Yeah, I'm doing eBay too. A little bit of eBay today. I'm uploading photos and weighing listings that I weigh everything. I box and weigh everything before I list it, so
Good.
I know that I'm charging the right price. So
Right.
that's what I'm doing today, and then I'm cleaning my house.
Wow. Well, kudos to you. You got a busy day planned, all productive things. So I'll let you go get to it. And
All
we'll
right.
look for more of your sales on the Facebook group.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Now for today's trivia question. Josh mentioned selling the rattlesnake rattle to a musician who was going to use it in his guitar. So, what is that all about? Why do musicians do that? Here are a few rattly seconds to think about it. Well, I found a lot of information about Native Americans using rattlesnake rattles as good luck amulets, and they put them in or on their instruments. Also, some guitar forums say that the rattles improve the acoustics and create a more woody and softer sound. Next week, my guest is Carol Ann the Mermaid Lady. She is loving the eBay life as an independent, retired woman. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in and spending the last hour with us. And I will talk to you next week. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.